Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you thought day one of BTS in Mexico was already insane, just wait until you hear what went down on day two. Yeah, Jimin, RM, cowboy hats, and an internet that absolutely exploded. In today's video, we are going to break down every single epic moment from the BTS Erarang World Tour concert in Mexico City on night 2. From jaw-dropping stage performances to viral moments that kept the entire army worldwide up all night. So make sure you're comfortable, grab your drink, and do not blink, because this one is going to be a ride. But before we get into those viral moments, let's set the scene first, because context matters here. BTS, 7 men from South Korea who have quite literally changed the face of the global music industry, finally returned to Mexico for the first time in 9 years. 9 years, you guys. Can you even imagine waiting that long for your favorite group to come back? And when those tickets dropped, they were gone in a matter of hours. Every single night sold out immediately, with 50,000 fans packing the stadium each time. This is not just any tour, either. The BTS Erarang World Tour is their 6th concert tour and by far the biggest of their career, spanning more than 85 dates across 34 cities in 23 countries. It was born as a celebration of BTS fully returning to the stage after all 7 members completed their mandatory military service in South Korea. The album behind it all is called Erarang, a name that carries enormous cultural weight because Erarang is the most iconic Korean folk song in existence, a timeless symbol of identity, longing, and the spirit of coming home. The fact that BTS chose that name for this historic comeback says everything. And for the Mexico leg specifically, they scheduled 3 consecutive nights at Estadio GNP Seguros in Mexico City. The last time they had been there was 9 years ago, and the Mexican army never forgot. When BTS finally showed up again, the energy in that city was unlike anything you've ever seen. Day 1 already shook the world, but day 2 hit completely differently. Alright, let's talk about the moment. The moment that flooded your entire timeline with screenshots, short clips, and reaction videos from every corner of the globe. On the first night of the concerts, BTS stepped out on that stage in full cowboy and Western-themed outfits. We're talking cowboy hats, Western-style jackets, and even paliacates, traditional Mexican scarves typically worn by charros, the iconic Mexican horsemen. That detail alone was not a coincidence. This was a deeply intentional, carefully planned tribute to Mexican culture, and the crowd felt every single bit of it. The stadium erupted the moment those outfits registered. But among all 7 members, the 2 who stole the show and sent the internet into meltdown mode were Jimin and RM. So let's go through each of them. Jimin has long carried the title master of his craft, not just from fans, but from music critics and industry professionals who have watched him perform for years. And in Mexico, he didn't just live up to that reputation. He obliterated it and rebuilt it even bigger. Picture this: Jimin standing center stage under a blazing spotlight, a black cowboy hat sitting perfectly on his head. For one brief, breathless second, 50,000 people fell quiet, and then they absolutely lost it. The roar that followed was the kind that makes the floor shake, the kind you feel in your chest, even if you're watching from a screen on the other side of the world. But the visual wasn't even the biggest moment. Midway through the set, Jimin did something that sent the crowd completely over the edge. He briefly lifted his shirt to reveal his abs, a spontaneous little moment of fan service that turned the stadium into pure chaos. People were screaming. People were crying. People were filming everything at once and somehow still managing to just stand there and feel it all at the same time. And then, toward the end of the concert, Jimin did something that moved everyone in a completely different way. He pulled out his phone, looked out at the 50,000 people in front of him, and began to read a message he had personally prepared, in Spanish. He said to the crowd, "You listen to our songs a lot, right? Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I didn't know you'd be this amazing here. You really know how to have fun. You're the best. I love you more than anyone." The Mexican army lost it. Some people cried, because this wasn't an idol dropping 1 or 2 token words in the local language as a formality. This was Jimin sitting down ahead of time, putting in the effort, and choosing to speak directly to his fans in their own language, from the heart, in the most personal way he knew how. And the numbers back up just how deeply connected Jimin is to his Mexican fan base. According to a Forbes article published on May 7, 2026, Jimin has accumulated over 97 million streams on the Mexico Spotify chart, the highest of any K-pop solo artist. Among all K-pop acts in the country, he ranks second only to BTS as a group. The Mexican army didn't just show up to that concert. They showed up for someone they have loved and supported from thousands of miles away for years. Now let's talk about Kim Namjoon, RM, the leader of BTS. The man whose words always land with the weight of someone who has thought deeply about every single one of them. Under that cowboy hat, RM showed up not just as a performer, but as the beating heart connecting all 7 members to every single person in that stadium. He was actually the first member to address the crowd at Mexico's National Palace on May 6th, the day before the concerts began, when BTS paid an official visit to President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo. Speaking in a combination of English and Spanish, he thanked the crowd for the warm welcome and encouraged everyone to get ready for the shows ahead. There was something incredibly grounding about watching him stand on that balcony above the Zocalo Square, looking out at thousands of fans below, and just being present for that moment. Inside the concert, one line from RM went viral all on its own. Toward the end of the show, he looked out at the crowd and said, "Mexican Army are always the most passionate. Thanks to you, I was very happy today." Short, simple, and somehow it hit harder than a 10-minute speech. That's the RM effect. He never wastes a word. But the moment that turned into pure comedy gold happened right there on stage, when fans caught Jungkook trying to pull at RM's vest, while RM kept performing like absolutely nothing was happening. Meanwhile, Jimin was on the other side laughing and trying to push Taeyong away as he joined in on the chaos. The whole scene spilled onto the internet within minutes, and the hashtag #CalmDownBTS started trending on X almost immediately. Fans could not stop laughing. But in the same breath, they also couldn't stop screaming, because watching these 7 grown men be so completely free and joyful and unapologetically themselves on one of the biggest stages in the world, that's something you just don't get anywhere else. Now let's look at how the internet reacted to all of this, because the response was genuinely something to behold. The moment clips of Jimin and RM in their cowboy hats started circulating, social media turned into a wildfire. On X, formerly Twitter, hashtags like hashtag #JiminMexico, hashtag RMMexico, hashtag BTSEarringMexico, and hashtag CowboyBTS all started trending, some of them across more than 20 countries simultaneously. Hashtag BTSEarringMexico held trending status globally for over 12 consecutive hours. K-pop content creators from Indonesia, Brazil, the United States, and Europe were all posting reaction videos before the night was even over. TikTok was flooded. YouTube Shorts were everywhere. Fan edits were being assembled in real time. The comments were incredible. People were writing things like, "Jimin in a cowboy hat should be illegal because it's too perfect," and "RM with a cowboy hat is a combination I never knew I needed, but now I cannot live without." Others simply wrote, "BTS Mexico is not a concert, it's a civilization." And of course, the one that summed it all up perfectly. The Mexican air really did something to them, which fans said after watching the entire group being so visibly free, giddy, and energized throughout the whole experience. The ARMY community worldwide was completely united in that moment. Fans who couldn't be there watched fan cams in real time. Fans who were there posted everything they could while still trying to actually live the moment. It was one of those rare nights in pop culture where you genuinely feel like you're witnessing something historic. But here's the thing that made this whole Mexico visit so special. It wasn't just the concerts. It was the fact that BTS genuinely, fully embraced Mexican culture at every single turn during their time there. The day before the concerts began, on May 6th, all 7 members visited the National Palace, Palacio Nacional, in Mexico City for an official meeting with President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo. After the meeting, they appeared on the balcony of the presidential headquarters and greeted the thousands of fans who had gathered in the Zocalo Square below. That is a moment that very few entertainment artists in the world have ever experienced, standing on that balcony and looking out at a country that is genuinely, warmly welcoming them. And then, and this is where it gets really fun, Jimin, Jungkook, Jin, and Suga went to a lucha libre wrestling match. For anyone who doesn't know, Lucha Libre is one of Mexico's most beloved and iconic cultural traditions, a form of professional wrestling that is known for its acrobatic style and the colorful, beautifully crafted masks the wrestlers wear. And these four members didn't just sit in the front row and watch. They put on the masks themselves. Jimin posted a mirror selfie from the event on his Instagram stories, wearing his mask, and within minutes it had already spread to every corner of the internet. One of the wrestlers, Mystico, walked into the ring wearing a BTS jacket with the members' names written on it, and was seen personally greeting each of them ringside. The fans who happened to be at that match couldn't believe what they were seeing. Some of them were in tears, not because anything sad had happened, but because there is something overwhelmingly beautiful about watching people you love deeply and sincerely enjoy the culture you grew up with. And we cannot forget Jhope. A few hours before that very first concert, Jhope posted a video on social media showing himself wearing a cowboy hat with Tu Sancho by Fuerza Regida, one of the biggest regional Mexicano hits in recent years, playing in the background. The Mexican army immediately responded with, "Hobi, hermano, ya eres Mexicano," which translates to "Hobi, brother, you're already Mexican." It was a small moment, but it meant everything. Because BTS didn't come to Mexico just to perform and leave. They came to actually be there, to feel it, absorb it, and celebrate the culture that was welcoming them so openly. Now I want to take a second to talk about something deeper than just the viral moments, because I think it's worth saying out loud. What happened in Mexico wasn't just about aesthetically perfect cowboy hat photos or hilarious onstage chaos. It was about the power of music and genuine human connection to bridge the gap between two cultures that, on paper, could not be more different. Korea and Mexico are separated by thousands of miles. They have different languages, different histories, different food, different everything. And yet 50,000 people in Mexico City gathered together to celebrate music made by 7 men from Seoul. And those 7 men showed up with their full hearts, bowed to the culture around them, and made every single person in that stadium feel seen. That's the thing about BTS that has always set them apart. They don't just arrive at a city and perform. They engage. They learn. They adapt. They honor. And when you watch Jimin standing on that stage with 97 million streams on the local Spotify chart behind him, reading a message to his fans in Spanish that he prepared himself, you understand that this is not just celebrity. This is something genuinely rare. RM once said that Mexican army are always the most passionate. And the Mexican army proved him right, not just on those 3 nights in the stadium, but through years of streaming, supporting, and waiting 9 long years for this moment to finally come. Let's put some numbers to all of this, because the scale of what happened in Mexico is worth fully appreciating. 50,000 fans packed GNP Seguros Stadium every single night for 3 nights. That's a total of 150,000 people across the Mexico leg alone. Jimin holds the record as the K-pop solo artist with the most streams on the Mexico Spotify chart, with over 97 million plays. The BTS Mexico hashtags trended globally on X for more than 12 consecutive hours. Concert videos accumulated hundreds of millions of views on TikTok within the first 48 hours. And BTS became one of the very few musical acts to receive an official state welcome and meet directly with a head of government during an international tour stop. And this is just Mexico. The Arirang Tour still has Colombia, Peru, Chile, Argentina, and Brazil coming up in October, before eventually heading back toward Asia and wrapping in Manila in March 2027. Based on everything we've seen so far, Latin America is going to be unforgettable. So what comes next? The 3rd night in Mexico City has just wrapped up, and early reports are saying it was somehow even more electric than the nights before it. We'll be covering that in full in the next video, so make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second. Beyond Mexico, the Latin American leg is going to bring an entirely new level of energy. Brazil and Argentina are both known for having some of the most passionate music fans anywhere in the world, and with BTS coming in on the momentum of everything that happened in Mexico City, the atmosphere at those shows is going to be unlike anything we've seen so far on this tour. And the album Arirang itself keeps breaking records. This was BTS's first full comeback since 2022, and the global response has already exceeded every expectation. Concert tickets sold out in minutes. The album has been streaming non-stop across every major platform. The world has not just welcomed BTS back. The world has reminded them just how much they were missed. BTS didn't just return. They returned stronger, more mature, and more fully themselves than ever before. And that is everything you need to know about the incredible moments BTS gave us in Mexico. Especially Jimin and RM with those iconic cowboy hats that sent the entire internet spiraling. These moments remind us why we fell in love with BTS in the first place. Not just because the music is extraordinary, not just because the performances are flawless, but because they show up with their whole hearts, in every city, on every stage, for every single army who has been waiting for them. If you enjoyed this video and it gave you all the feelings, please hit that like button, drop a comment below, and share it with every army in your life who needs to see this. And I want to hear from you. What was your favorite BTS Mexico moment? Was it Jimin's cowboy hat energy? RM's words that absolutely wrecked you emotionally? Or the completely unexpected Lucha Libre side quest? Tell me everything down in the comments. See you in the next one. Saranghaeo, Army. Purple Heart.